What's up, guys? Spin Firearms here, and today we're going to be talking about, in my opinion, the sleeper of 2024. Now, what does that mean? Basically, what the sleeper is, it's a firearm, or I guess it could be basically anything, something where it just flew under the radar, right? It wasn't detected, it wasn't picked up by many, right? Whether that's because of the brand name, not as much marketing dollars behind it, and so on. Obviously, the second 6 hour makes a release, they pay ridiculous amounts of money for it to be spread all over. It'll be in every influencer's hands, a little bit money, go to them as well to do the review, all sorts of stuff, right? So it makes its rounds. You'll be at your local range and they'll hire someone to go throw a big 6 hour event, right? Some smaller companies just don't have the budget for that, as well as they're still in the process of, building their name, building their reputation, right? But anyways, a while back, I picked up the Stoger STR-9 subcompact. I do new construction plumbing. I bust my butt. I work about 55 to 60 hours per week plumbing. And on top of that, I do YouTube as well as take care of a family. So I always like to look for options that are affordable. This is not the sleeper of the year. But this is sort of what led me to getting the sleeper of the year. This right here, like I said, is the subcompact. My favorite handgun is the Glock 26, right? So obviously, or I guess I can grab my 26. Glock 26 right here. This is their version. And Stoger, if you didn't know, is like a brother company to Beretta, right? They're made, I believe, in the same factories as Beretta, has same ownership, that whole sort of thing. So the fact that they made a subcompact Glock 26 clone really drew my attention, right? Especially because they make a subcompact that actually is a rail, unlike Glock. And I liked a lot of the little things they did, especially for the price point. I've seen these as low as $230, but typically they're around $270, $300. And in my opinion, this blows the Taurus G3C out of the water. I really like the G3C, but this blows out of the water. The finish is actually really nice on it. Takes down like a Glock, a nice stainless steel guide rod, which was a really nice touch. Big trigger guard for people who live in a cold state and use gloves. Nice guide rod. Actually racks pretty smooth. Stainless steel mags. And on top of that, a pretty solid trigger. When it's all said and done, it's much crisper and cleaner than your Glock trigger, and it's lighter. It's very Glock-ish or Glock-esque, but at the same time, it's just better all around. Better feel to it and so on. So I really, fell in love with this handgun right here. The number one downside, though, was holster and aftermarket support, right? But this handgun right here has been great, and it's been absolutely flawless. No issues whatsoever. And this can also take the full size and compact, larger models magazines, right? And I also believe they released the tactical version of the full size, so it'll take that magazine as well. So it's basically like a Glock 26. It can run all the larger OEM mags, so it's a pretty nice touch to have. But everything they did about this is, what Glock should be doing. Better trigger, rail, metal sights from the factory, even though they're not night sights, better texturing, and so on. So I actually really like this handgun. But then, obviously all these Micro 9s are taken over, so they decided to drop their Micro 9 before Beretta dropped their Micro 9, which is pretty interesting. And this is what they came up with, right? To me, it looks like a mixture between, a couple different models, but mainly a Hellcat. Maybe a Glock 43 and a Hellcat is basically what it looks like to me. This is the Stoger STR-9 Micro Compact. And I've put this thing through its paces, and we had one failure to feed at 550 rounds, and I believe that was an ammo-related issue because we have yet to see it again. This thing right here is honestly shocking. I said it was going to be a sleeper of this year. Wasn't 100% sure if it would hold up. But now that we're at the end of the year, and I looked at everything that came out, my collection, stuff like that, this is the handgun that sticks out. Because they took everyone's criticism of every other Micro 9 and made their version of it, right? Right here, the P365, the criticism. The grip just doesn't have enough to it. The reliability problems, the rusting, and so on. The Hellcat being too snappy. Stuff like the shield, even though this is a larger shield, people don't like how it feels in their hand. It feels a little awkward to them, right? As well as not getting as much capacity. So they took a lot of ideas from people and brought it together to something that takes down like a Glock. And this is what they came up with, like I said. The number one thing, though, I wish they would have done is let it take Glock sights. That would be the game changer. And the other thing I want to say is get the upgraded version. It's only like $50 more, and you get night sights. The problem with this handgun is how you got to hold it because of the adjustable rear sights. You got to go half moon, basically, right? Which isn't a problem. because this thing is accurate as can be. And I'm also going to touch on people who've shot it that can't stand small handguns and their reaction. So we're going to touch on all of it. Anyways, a pretty decent finish. For the price, it is a much better finish than like a Taurus G3C or a Taurus GX4. Nice looking serrations. Actually looks like a pretty nice looking handgun. Like I said, 11 plus 1 capacity. Let's compare it to the Hellcat. 11 plus 1 for both of them. And they're basically the exact same. A little bit longer barrel for the Stoger. So pretty dang comparable to the Hellcat. Like I said, give that barrel length of a Glock 43 and the, you know, the capacity and size of the Hellcat, and you literally have this handgun right here. Also comes with a rail, nice memory pads. Like I said, takes down like a Glock, which is huge, you know, for ease of use, basically. Texturing throughout the whole handgun that feels great. Glock will never give you a handgun that has texturing on it. That's why all my Glocks simply have some form of grip or wrap. Hold on. I kid you not. Every Glock I pick up, that's an added $25 a year, because that grip will fall off in about a year. So every year, imagine spending $25 just to get that desired grip, right? Anyways, awesome texturing. They knocked it out of the park. It's so simple. Glock could do that in a heartbeat. Also, a nice size undercut, which is a big complaint on a lot of Glocks, as well as like the Hellcat, not having as large of an undercut, right? Let's check out that trigger. It just blows the Hellcat trigger right out of the water. Let's compare it to my 43X real quick. And it is clear. Spongy. Still crisp. Let's go Stoger. I mean, really, dang. Really nice. Let's check out the SIG. AKA the Rust Bucket. Nice trigger. Feels a little cheap, but is what it is. Nice trigger. So honestly, in terms of everyday carry and self-defense, the Stoger has a really nice trigger going for it. Like I said, the only thing I would change though is get the upgraded version that is optics ready and also comes with night sights. That is the one mistake that I did make. But another thing, remember I mentioned the compacts and the full sizes and the tactical full size? This Micro 9 takes all those. That would be like the P365 taking the P320 mags. That would be like a Glock 43X taking a Glock 19 mag, or, you know, whatever the case may be. This literally takes all the larger Stoger mags, which is huge. And on top of that, it comes with a 13-round mag. I didn't grab it, but it sits down here. Very similar, once again, to the Hellcat. So you're getting great capacity in a handgun that could fit in your pocket, be carried, and you don't even recognize it whatsoever. The thing I'll say about it, though, is the most shocking part about it is how it handles recoil. And yes, it has a little bit stiffer of a guide rod and spring set, but the difference is when you shoot it at the range, it handles recoil. There's a buddy of ours that goes to the range. He actually works armed security, and he has a bunch of different carry guns. But his carry gun is typically a Glock 48, which I have sitting right over here, right? So this is what he mainly carries. Let's check out the size comparison. Right, so you get a full hand on this handgun. Full grip on the Glock 48, right? Much longer slide, much longer barrel, heavier for better recoil control and so on, right? He doesn't like super small guns, right? I let him shoot this. Every time we go out to breakfast, this is what he talks about. When I save up, I'm going to get that Stoger. I'm going to get that Stoger. Where'd you buy that Stoger? I need to pick up this. I kid you not. And I have Hellcats that I've offered to let him shoot. The SIGs, CSXs, Shield Pluses, literally everything that he has shot. He always comes back to the Stoger. And you know what? I think he's 6'6", maybe 6'5", huge hands, and he loves this thing for some reason. And I get why. It is a nice size Micro 9. Has a wide opening on that trigger guard even. I mean, it's just a good size handgun, even for people with larger hands or whatever. I wear size large gloves, but I have shorter, fat fingers is where my hand loses its size. But for me, this thing is just a great handgun. It's really an underrated handgun, and I definitely think it deserves the award for the sleeper handgun of 2024. I'd love to see what Stoger has coming out soon. I can't wait. So, and another thing, we will be making holsters for this, pocket holsters. One of the only downside to the Stogers, the only downside is holster support. But they are out there. So you can find places that make a holster for this That is the only downside, though, because if typically, like I do, Blacksmith Tactical, and you can use code SPM for 10% off holsters like this, that's all I use. And they don't make one for it. So I'm going to have to go out of my way, maybe find a leather, whatever the case may be. But absolutely love this thing. The Stoger STR-9 Micro Compact has to be one of my favorite handguns. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.